welcome to The Ag, the university broadcast show run by La Trobe students.
For La Trobe students.
A bittersweet welcome today as it is our final episode of this season of Upstart. Rest assured, we've saved the best for last.
First up, we look into the world of entrepreneurship, venturing out into La Trobe's new Launchpad program. Cooper has more.
La Trobe University now has a great way to help students become budding entrepreneurs through the Launchpad program. We spoke to the Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship, Dr. Charasella Tanasescu, to get more insight on the program.
It is a pre-accelerator, what we call a pre-accelerator program. That means anyone who has an idea and eventually thinking to progress into business, that would be the right program for them. The 12 weeks are organized in 8 weeks with our external provider StartMate and 4 weeks with our own mentors and coaches at La Trobe University.
This is the first semester of the Launchpad program, making this cohort of students the founding participants.
We just started. We had the pilot cohort and we have the first 15 that started 2 weeks ago. I think they're all very motivated. We ran other type of programs before and we know that we have a strong demand for the students.
Avalon Magua is a student participating in the Launchpad program. She heard about it through a subject coordinator and thought she'd give it a go.
I'm 4 weeks into the StartMate component, so halfway through StartMate and I think a third the way through Launchpad.
StartMate has invested $4.5 million in over 300 companies since it began. They aim to build ecosystems that startups need to thrive in their own backyard. 45% of companies were founded by women, which helps promote and create further ideas. Their portfolio valuation equates to over $4.5 billion, which includes 3,000 people involved in their program.
StartMate is epic, honestly. I don't have like a marketing or a business background, so I'm like digging a lot into those parts of the course. It kind of covers everything from like, hey, you've got an idea to how do we actually put this in the real world.
Fortunately for us, we were lucky enough for Avalon to give us a demo of her prototype, Pebble.
Pebble is a lo-fi companion for people with different ways of being, whether that's dementia, cognitive disability, neurodivergence.
I'll remind you today at 6 p.m.
Pebble is voice-based, so you can speak to Pebble to set reminders, and then later in the day or later in the week, Pebble will buzz and you can click it and it will read out what your reminder is.
The main aim of the program it is that it offers an introduction and connections and support to access the community, and it offers also tools and tips to become entrepreneur and how to progress your business further on.
Cooper O'Brien and Pebble reporting for The Ag.
Wow, incredible to see what sort of programs our university is offering to students.
Next up, Noah takes you on a journey of protest over the years, right here in our own backyard.
Since its beginning, students at La Trobe University have expressed their right to protest about global issues they feel strongly about. However, protesting international issues on campus can create conflict within the university. It's created a complicated relationship between students and the governing body. When Barry York, Brian Poller and Fergus Robinson led Marxist protests against the university's alleged involvement in the Vietnam War and the South African apartheid, the university took out an injunction against them. When they defied it, the police enforced the Supreme Court's order and they were imprisoned for 3 months in Melbourne's most notorious prison.
Had a peaceful march up until the point that the police laid into us, the West Heidelberg police, and a detective who we think was from Russell Street in the city. And they made clear they didn't like us. You know, they beat us up pretty badly.
The civility of life on the Bundoora campus was challenged again in 2012, when students protested about intended course cuts. La Trobe University introduced a proposal to cut hundreds of subjects and fire 45 members of the academic faculty, resulting in an overnight occupation of the Agora. 4 days later, on the university's open day in 2012, Vice-Chancellor John Dewar tried to quell unrest by allocating a designated protesting space for students. Dewar threatened any protesters gathering outside these designated areas would face academic suspension or potentially expulsion from the university. When Bundoora was cornered in a room after being chased by a mob of protesters, he allegedly escaped through a network of underground tunnels. In 2024, the university introduced guidelines and policies regarding student protests. A university spokesperson stated,
"The university will not accept racist, discriminatory, abusive, threatening, or violent behaviour by any person on our campus, nor damage to property. Behaviour of this kind may result in disciplinary action."
When the Students for Palestine protests overtook the Agora last year, Xavier Dupé, a Socialist Party leader at La Trobe, claimed that he faced disciplinary action for his alleged peaceful encampment in the Agora. When asked for evidence regarding disciplinary action taken against him, Xavier Dupé failed to comment. Dupé and other Students for Palestine claimed that they were inspired by similar protests happening in America regarding the Israeli occupation on the Gaza Strip.
Prompted the university students in the US to set up their protest camps and say, we're not going to allow, business as usual to go on while our government is funding a genocide.
Pro-Palestinian student protesters at Melbourne University in particular alleged student surveillance occurred through free university Wi-Fi, a university system with tracking capabilities. However, Melbourne University promised the software would not be used for surveilling individuals. A report into the incident by the Office of the Victorian Information Commissioner states,
"The university engaged in function creep by using surveillance of users of on-campus Wi-Fi in disciplinary proceedings that began after a protest."
In an article written for The Conversation, Professor Ju Cheong Tum says that recent university protests across the country have led to restrictions and crackdowns in all states. The University of Western Australia has banned student announcements in class. The University of Adelaide has banned encampments and indoor protests. And the University of Melbourne has banned non-students at university protests. The history of student protests at La Trobe University shows us that while the issues change, the core struggle for freedom of speech does not. As new generations of students continue to take a stand on the issues they feel passionate about, the battle between them and the university governing bodies is set to continue. I'm Noah Lawson, reporting for The Ag.
Wow, it is amazing to learn about our campus in the past. What a rich history. I wonder if those tunnels really do exist.
Well, we're about to find out. Looks like the team did some digging.
Every day at La Trobe University, students go by their day-to-day business without realising there is an intricate system of tunnels beneath them. Come with me and the gang as we explore these tunnels. All throughout uni campus, these tunnels have been used year after year for everything from the transportation of electronics to the Vice-Chancellor of the university.
That is pretty crazy.
I'm intrigued by it.
But while these tunnels stretch throughout the university, most people have no idea they exist.
We were fortunate enough to be given access to these tunnels by the university. As you can see, they are the real deal.
We had the chance to talk to Director of Facilities, Assets and Services, Sam Wishart, about the tunnels.
Yeah, so the tunnels were built basically when the university started. Someone had an idea, they master planned the campus, they drew a bunch of buildings on a map.
The tunnels are kept under lock and key, with them being used mainly to transport electronics.
Now they are just service infrastructure, so we're getting large pipes and wires that connect services in buildings back and forth.
The university has only acknowledged the tunnels through a handful of vague online posts.
No idea about this.
It's nice to see that there isn't a secret nightclub or Batcave under La Trobe, but the tunnels remain a very cool part of the university and its history. I'm Noah Lawson, reporting for The Ag.
I did not know that. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, there you go, bro. That's all.
That's all? Can I check them out?
No. No, you can't. Weird.
Who would have thought La Trobe was harbouring so many secrets? Now over to news where Jack has more.
Thank you, Amber. Israel and Hamas are sticking to a fragile ceasefire deal that includes each returning and swapping hostages and prisoners. The 20 living Israeli hostages are home. However, there's tension over Hamas returning the bodies of those who died. Israel briefly stopped Gaza aid in protest, but reopened the Rafah crossing after some progress. This long-awaited truce is working for now, but big questions remain about who will run and rebuild Gaza. A power outage has interrupted Victoria's 000 dispatch service. Call centres were still able to take calls, but had to resort to using pen and paper to take information. Emergency Services Minister Vicky Ward says that dispatchers are well trained in backup scenarios. However, the help given was still limited. This is the second issue 000 dispatch services have faced in the past few weeks, as multiple people died after a botched Optus network upgrade in September. The upgrade prevented around 600 emergency calls to 000 across Australia. Victorian primary schools are set to introduce a 90-minute screen time limit for students. Reform aims to tackle an accelerated amount of time spent on laptops since the pandemic. Schools will now be required to ensure students have access to laptops, with parents no longer required to pay. Education Minister Ben Carroll believes this reform will improve outcomes for kids by fostering critical thinking, collaboration, and creativity. Changes to Australian superannuation have been announced by Treasurer Jim Chalmers as he addressed media live from Parliament House. The key changes to the policy include an increase to low-income superannuation tax offset. This means better conditions for low-income workers and ideally more fair conditions for people with larger accounts. However, the government backed down on their initial proposal to tax people with unrealised gains, meaning the rich will stay rich. The day these changes go into effect will be July 1st, 2026. Cheese, the Australian Novice Championship dog, has made a stellar return to competition after facing a brutal injury. After having his front leg amputated, it looked like his career in the working dog competition was over. However, after recovering for just 6 months in the yard, his incredible comeback has resulted in him winning the Elphinstone Dog Trials in Queensland.
Thanks, Jack. Plenty going on at the moment.
That's crazy. My dog can't even do that and he has 4 legs. We all know how expensive it is to be a student studying a university degree. But good news for university students, a recent cut has been made to HECS debt. Christian has more.
For over 3,000 Victorian students, choosing to study a higher education degree is signing up to a lifetime of debt. Almost 3 million Australians carry the burden of a HECS or higher education debt, and despite the endless opportunities a university like La Trobe has to offer, students are starting to question if it's all worth it.
Studying a law degree as well, it's quite expensive, and in the future I do worry that I will struggle to pay it off.
It's going to impact me in the future, especially once I start working.
However, there is little light at the end of the tunnel. Starting September the 26th, the federal government's 20% reduction on HECS debt officially came into effect. These changes are backdated to July 1st. This is hugely beneficial to students feeling the pressure of education debt as they continue their degrees. The Greens have a different perspective. They think this cut is not enough.
The Greens' approach is that we should just wipe all student debt. We don't think this should ever have accumulated.
The Australian government's recent legislation states that Aussie students aren't required to start paying them back until you earn over $67,000. The 20% cut applied to all current and past students with a HECS debt.
I think it's a great initiative, but I think it's a temporary one. I think if you look, 10, 20 years in the future, that 20% cut won't do anything if the university keeps raising, the price of the degrees.
Any reduction is better than none. So, it should be supported. If we could implement our policy, and to do that, we need more Greens in Parliament, but if we could, students would graduate with a bit more freedom. If you graduate with a large debt, you've got to knuckle down, get a good job and get it fast. But ultimately, even if you have a debt, I think you are better off with a degree.
This cut and legislation is a huge win for university students and a step in the right direction. However, the financial pressures still prevail, with many questioning the price they must pay to get a tertiary education. Back to you in the studio.
Many La Trobe students feel anxious when it comes to finding jobs post-graduation. Maddie shows us university-run help is out there.
The goal of attending university is acquiring a degree. However, a degree doesn't always guarantee a job. For many, going into the next chapter means going into the unknown.
At La Trobe University, career resources are available to students to give them a pathway for when they leave the university. Resources like La Trobe's Career Ready and the Student Advisory Team are designed to help students once they graduate. We spoke to students at La Trobe about their plans for when they leave the university.
With all the placement opportunities I've had at La Trobe, I think I've got a really good pathway on where it can lead me into the future.
I'm finishing my course here at La Trobe. It's been great. I've
done an internship, and it's through La Trobe it's been great, and it's put me in a good position moving forward.
La Trobe's been really good at helping me find a pathway into teaching as I continue my degree.
We spoke to Claire O'Donoghue, a member of the student advisory team.
And our employability services at La Trobe will offer workshops that give students who are about to graduate an opportunity to meet with industries that are partners.
La Trobe's Career Hub runs events designed to help students find work after they graduate, as well as teaching students how to showcase their skills to potential employers.
We help and support students from onboarding, before orientation, right through to when they're about to graduate. And that's only on offer in about half a dozen Australian universities.
Here at La Trobe Uni, it seems the future doesn't have to be unknown after all. I'm Maddie McVeigh, reporting for The Ag.
The timing could not be any better. We are all very excited to finish off our studies this year. I just got my graduation invitation. Speaking of, we now go to our live reporter Noah, who has some recent graduates.
Hi team, I'm here with Jasper, who is a third-year university student at La Trobe. So Jasper, how are you finding the systems that La Trobe put in place for helping you find a career outside of uni?
Yeah, unreal, mate. I'm not too sure what other subjects are like, but all my teachers send so many resources through emails on the weekly of job opportunities and career-ready options that are really suitable for us.
Yeah. And do you think the career-ready assistance has helped you in your studies and find a future career?
Yeah, 100%, mate. I was lucky enough to do an internship throughout my time here as well. It's just such a good direct route to finding a job and stuff after uni. So it's been really helpful to me.
And do you think now you're more confident in your career post-university thanks to all the assistance?
Yeah, 100%. I'd probably be pretty lost without some of the helping hands. So it's really helpful and really nice to see that teachers in the university go above and beyond to help set us up for life, yeah.
No problem. That's all from me. Back to you all in the studio.
Thanks, Noah. It's so nice to hear about our peers' plans for the future. It's election season at La Trobe, and students have been casting their votes to decide who will lead the student union next year. In a special edition of our favourite running segment, Society Spotlight, Alex takes us through the final hours of election week.
Voices echo across the agora, flyers flutter in the breeze, and students gather around campaign stalls. It's that time of year again when passion, policy, and student pride take centre stage. The La Trobe Student Union elections give the students a chance to decide who will represent their voices and shape their campus experiences for the next year.
I'm Alex, and welcome back to Society Spotlight, Election Edition.
This year's election saw multiple parties campaigning across campus, with the GOAT Party, Together Party, and the Free Palestine Party all vying for your vote. We headed down to the final voting day for the election to hear what mattered most to students and to meet the people hoping to make a difference. Leading the pack was the Together Party, with presidential candidate Amelia Sevier, a member of the La Trobe Labour Left Club, wanting to focus on student representation and connection.
Previously, only 10% of students have always participated in the elections, and we need to hear more from student voices to make sure that their union represents them.
Amelia said her team wanted to build on last year's success, aiming to continue their work in strengthening student engagement.
Some of my best friends are on this ticket, have been involved in the club, but also I've made so many friends by all of us running on this ticket together. These people mean so much to me, and I'm so proud that we're running together.
And while the Together Party campaigned with teamwork and connection, the focus on election day was clear, getting students to have their say at the polls, even if not all students were as hyped as Amelia.
I think it's important that all students put their 2 cents into what goes on around the university, because we're the ones who are really in and amongst the communities.
It's good to see the students out there and taking part in the political kind of arena here.
I think it's really important for people to vote, even if they're not voting for us, because it's about being engaged in the politics.
Eden also believed it was important for students to have a say in how the university spends their amenities fees, and voting allows that to happen.
There are key decisions being made about your money, and you don't have a choice not to pay, so you might as well vote.
And when the votes were counted, the Together Party came out on top, winning the student election for another year. However, only 10.9% of the eligible student cohort voted in this year's election, as the student union keeps pushing for more student involvement. Whether you chose to vote, ran as a party, or watched from afar, This year's election showed us the increasing interest and passions in our student elections.
It's great to put a face to the people representing us as students. On the topic of Society Spotlight, David is live with a member of the Cinema Club who have just undergone some personnel changes as well.
Okay, so thanks so much for agreeing to this interview, Nick. So, first of all, I understand there's been a recent AGM of the Cinema Club and there's been some leadership changes. How has that handover process been going?
Well, we unfortunately don't have all of our executive spots re-elected this time around, or elected this time around. So we've organised an SGM for early next year, and we're just trying to get everything organised. A big part of at the moment is that because of funding cuts to the clubs department, we're having to restructure what we're going to be doing for some of next year. So at the moment, it means that our handover process is just sort of restructuring ourselves and laying that out so that the new execs will be able to have the different system.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And so next time, I'm curious, how does the Cinema Club, help people, enhance and develop their passion for movies?
So what we try to do is we have a lot of different themes picked out from the very start. So what we aim for is more of everyone's able to get into it idea. So what we used to do, and what we usually aim to do, is we have a lot of different collaborations with a lot of the different cultural clubs or with some of the other clubs, so that we have we're able to show all of what cinema is able to be. So like we did, like we worked with the Italian club or the Pakistani club, or we've had like a musical week, or we just have a lot.
Yeah, okay, thanks. And third and final question. So what are some of the other things that you guys do to keep the club, people in the club, engaged and whatnot?
So we actually haven't had a lot of variety in terms of the different types of things that we do. We've been trying to incorporate more of a discussion aspect as we've been going along. Like we had the... Sorry, just got a little bit distracted. One of the previous executives just walked past us. But typically, what we do is we'll have people submit some themes that they want to see in future weeks. And we have 2 screenings of movies involved with that. At the moment, the only plan is to... Sometime during summer, after exams, we're going to be doing a screening of Charade by Audrey Hepburn and Cary Grant, and The Stranger by Orson Welles, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you so much, David. It's so good to see active clubs on campus. We are now going to go to Cooper, who has sports for us.
All is finished in the AFL trade period, with Melbourne Premiership duo Clayton Oliver and Christian Petrarca both traded last night. Charlie Curnow has found a new home at the Swans, but it was all about Zach Merritt, who couldn't find his way to the Hawks and now faces an awkward homecoming at the start of pre-season. Over to the AFLW, North Melbourne are proving to be unstoppable as they reach 21 wins in a row. The reigning premiers are finals favourites as they look to break the AFL record of 23 consecutive wins set by Geelong's men's team back in 1953. The Roos are set to play the Crows this Saturday. The Aussie Diamonds have just beaten South Africa in a series clean sweep. They won all 3 games by an average of 20 goals, marking a strong start to the International Test Series. Next on, they face New Zealand in the Consolation Cup, which starts on Friday. The Diamonds battle the Silver Ferns to try and reclaim after losing it last year. Saturday's Everest Field has been drawn, and hot favourite Kaying Rising has drawn Barrier 7. The world's best horse sits at $6, better than any other of the 11 horses in the race. Trainer David Hayes was simply happy when he was asked about how he felt about the barrier draw. That's all for sport, guys.
A hectic week in sports, thanks, Cooper. The Labor government has become rolling out a $23 million initiative to improve access to free period products. Share the Dignity has placed a free pad and tampon dispensary here on the La Trobe Melbourne campus.
Let's talk about bloody periods. Period poverty is defined as someone lacking access to menstrual products due to location or financial costs.
Last year, the Allen Labor government began rolling out a $23 million initiative, placing free tampons and pads across public places across Victoria. The Vic government stated that 1 in 5 women and girls report they can't afford the period products they need every month. Since the launch of the program in November 2024, more than 90,000 packs have been dispensed, saving families hundreds of thousands of dollars. Surveys conducted by Share the Dignity, the organisation responsible for these public dispensaries, revealed that this number jumps to 77% for tertiary students. The vending machines can be found in public and accessible places, such as community gyms, hospitals, and libraries. Sandy and her team make sure the La Trobe vending machine is always stocked and available for students in need.
My job is to come along as a volunteer and make sure that the free vending machine at La Trobe Uni is always full. It's a great facility for women, students who are caught out, can't afford products or whatever, that they'll always be here in time of need.
La Trobe is taking big steps to ensure students have access to period and sexual health products. Examples of these initiatives include the Retreat Space, which is located in HU3 105, and the Women's Retreat Space in the Union Building. Megan Campbell from the Wellbeing Inclusion team at La Trobe manages the retreat, with the goal of making it comfortable and available for everyone.
It was identified that there was a need for a space for women to go along and feel like they can be themselves, that they can relax away from everyone else.
This space was designed with all genders and identities in mind, encouraging inclusivity for everyone at La Trobe.
If someone wants to use this space and needs to use this space for its intended use, then we are inclusive of trans women, gender diverse people, and if there are men who feel that they need this space, they may be able to use it as well.
A new Share the Dignity period product dispensary has launched here at La Trobe. If your Shark Week starts while on campus, head to the vending machine located in the accessible toilets next to the La Trobe Library. At the push of a button, dispense a pack of 3 Libra pads completely free of charge. This incentive is especially important for tertiary students. With the cost of studying and living out of home, having to spend money on period products can be a huge inconvenience.
I think having to pay for period products is kind of crazy to me. I feel like, especially paying so much, they are quite expensive. Like buying a couple packets of pads could cost you $20, and some people don't have that money to be spending on all of these different products. So I think that having it free, accessible for students who are on campus and might need to have one on the go is a great thing to have.
It's a bit surprising for me that those things are not affordable, but I can see the standpoint of like production and the cost of producing those items, and I think it's great. It just opens up a whole new zone for people to talk about periods.
Many students are like struggling between balancing their studies and their personal life, so they may carry many financially struggling. So yeah, it's a good thing.
This has been Michaela Pasquale reporting for The Ag.
Wow, what a fantastic story, especially destigmatising the taboo around periods.
What a ride. As we come to the end of our show, our series, and for many of us, our studies, we'd just like to pay tribute. We acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we told our stories, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and we pay our respects to their elders past and present.
That's it from us. Thanks for watching.